The Tale of Custard the Dragon by Ogden Nash. Both the title and the writer are probably new to you. Yes, today we are moving into what I love to call light verse. You might like to call it nonsense verse. And why do I call it? Because many of these poems are really nonsensical. Have you heard of a limerick? Which is the best example of light verse. So let me begin with one of my favorite limericks. Here it goes. There was a lady of Riga who went for a ride on a tiger. They came back from the ride with the lady inside and a smile on the face of the tiger. This is a 5-lined poem, popularly known as the limerick. Our poet today is Ogden Nash, 1902 to 1971. He held a variety of jobs like advertising, teaching, editing, etc., etc. It's after 1930 that he decided to become a full-time poet. And imagine, he wrote about 500 pieces. Some of the best known are Everyone But Thee and Me, Hard Lines, etc. Interestingly, he also wrote lyrics for musicals and children's books. A poem that I love is the octopus. A word to husband is another. And names like the pig, old men, etc. It's very interesting that he calls himself not a versifier, but a versifier. I think I have to spell the two words for you. He says, I'm not a versifier. V-R-S-I-F-I-E-R. But I am instead a versifier. W-O-R-S-I-F-I-E-R. I think even in that word you can see the kind of humor that this man had. Now the poem that we will be talking about, this poem is indeed one of the best examples of light verse because it is also a parody. A parody, let me tell you more about it in due course. The Tale of Custard the Dragon is what I would call a ballad. No, better still, a parody of a ballad. What is a ballad? Right? It's a story of heroism. And some of you may have heard of poems like La Belle Dame Sans Merci, The Lady of Shalott, etc. But here it's a parody. And what's a parody? When you make fun of something. Let's begin by reading the poem. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little grey mouse and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon and a really truly little pet dragon. Let me continue. Now the name of the little black cat was Ink, and the little grey mouse she called her Blink, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard, but the dragon was a coward and she called him Custard. So what do we have? We have a little girl. Remember I told you it's a ballad. So in a ballad you have a story. If you have story, you have characters. So we have Belinda and she's got pets. And what are the pets? A kitten, a mouse, a dog, and a dragon. Because remember it's a ballad. So we need stories of heroism. And therefore you have the dragon. But it's interesting because the poet tells us the names, Ink and Blink and Mustard. But when we come to the dragon, he's called Custard. He's a coward and he's called Custard. And then there's a description of Custard. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath. Mouth like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and realio, trulio, daggers on his toes. He keeps repeating realio, trulio to give it an effect. We use the words really and truly. I'm describing this for you. Belinda was brave as a barrel full of bears, and ink and blink chased lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard cried for a nice safe cage. Imagine the other three pets that she has are brave. And you would expect the dragon to be brave, right? But all that the dragon wanted to do was to hide in a cage. And then the story goes on, how Belinda treats her pets, etc. And then suddenly, remember we need heroism. Suddenly they heard a nasty sound, and Mustard growled, and they all looked around. Meow, cried Ink, and ooh, cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. And let's hear the description of the pirate. Pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held in his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. I've already told you it's a parody, and therefore the poet takes of great poems that we know, canon to the left of them, canon to the right of them. He takes it from there and makes a parody. It goes on, the poem, the pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon and gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. So who finally is the brave one here? Belinda still lives in her little white house. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears. That's how the poem ends. I wonder if you'll agree with me when I say, when I read any poem, a poem, any length, at the end of it I ask myself, and what exactly is this poem about? Is it conveying something special? So when I read this poem, even if it's light nonsense verse, I feel that there is a message. I won't call it a moral, but the point is we must learn to appreciate the differences that each one of us have. Look at that. What does the kitten have? What does the mouse have? And what does the dragon have? But let's learn to appreciate these differences. There are unique qualities, is what this poem is telling me. A simple rhyme scheme, A-A-B-B. Look at any verse and you'll see house, mouse, wagon, dragon, ink, blink, mustard, custard, and so it goes on. And then when I look at the figures of speech, sorry my dear friends, I'm going to bombard you with so many of them, but not one of them requires an explanation, because probably not one is new to you, those of you who have been following my lectures. So what do we have? We have repetition of the word little, for example. We have oxymoron, remember, putting together of opposites, a pet dragon, can you imagine? And then of course the simile. Oh, you've seen so many of them, right? As sharp as mustard. And then alliteration, remember the sound, anaphora, irony, personification, refrain, hyperbole. I think I'll just mention allusion. You know, when we talk about something which is outside the poem, and here he talks about Percival, who was the king, the coward, who ran away from war. And so it goes on. Maybe you can look for some more when you read the poem again. I began with a limerick. Allow me to end with a limerick. I need a front door for my hall. The replacement I bought was too tall. So I hacked it and I chopped it and carefully lopped it. And now the dumb thing is too small. Well, nonsense was at its best. So why did I choose this poem? I want us to remember, understand and appreciate that all poetry need not be great, serious stuff. Poetry can be fun. And the more we enjoy poetry, I think the more we will read it. So let's read more of light verse, of nonsensical verse. Look at Lewis Carroll. Look at many more such poets. I love one which says, "The owl and the pussycat went for a ride. Let's see where they went." Maybe that's your homework.